Okay, so today I'm going to share with you some information about the ingredient in dry cat food called meal. Chicken meal, lamb meal, beef meal, poultry meal, fish meal, or it may say just meal. All right, so first to let you know, I've gotten, when I first found out about meal and the way that they make pet food was from this book, Food Pets Die For by Ann Martin. Shocking Facts About Pet Food. And another really good resource too is by Susan Thixton, The Truth About Pet Food. This revealed so much information that it completely changed the way that I fed my cats. So meal. The FDA allows in meal, no matter what kind, it's chicken meal, beef, lamb meal, fish, or just meal. You can find this on the FDA's website. I'll include a link below the video so that you can verify this. Meal can include what is labeled as the 4 Ds. That's D as in David. Or D as in dying, dead, diseased, and disabled. So carcasses that can be used in meal can have either been dying, dead, diseased, or disabled. So let's look at the diseased first of all. Disease, of course, the first thing that I think of is cancer. So the animal could have been riddled with cancer. Oh, and by the way, the 4 Ds are unfit for human consumption. Any carcass that comes under the label of the 4 Ds is unfit for human consumption. The FDA does not allow it for human consumption. So it's okay, or it's not okay for humans to consume it, but it's okay for our animals to consume it. It can be used in pet food. Now remember, I've mentioned before, there's no regulation of the pet food industry. It is self-regulated by AAFCO. AAFCO, AAFCO is made up of representatives from the pet food manufacturing industry. All right, so diseased. Cancer could be, the animal could have been full of tumors. It could have had liver disease, pancreatic cancer. I don't even know what all it could have had. It could have had a virus. And whatever it is, I don't want my animals consuming anything that was diseased and that's unfit for human consumption. So dying or dead. Now the other part about the 4 Ds that are allowed in pet food is they cannot be decomposing. So you take factory farming for human consumption. There are millions and millions of animals, sheep, cows, pigs, chickens, turkeys, every day are being processed for human consumption. These factory farms are jam-packed with thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of animals on them. And you can bet in those crowded conditions that animals are dying or dead, diseased and disabled. It's proven that this is happening. So the carcass cannot be decomposed if it's going to be used in pet food. But I'll tell you that none of these factory farms have giant refrigerators that they're storing these dead carcasses in. They're just not doing it. And the vehicles that are transporting these dead carcasses, they are not refrigerated. Okay, so that means they've already started to decompose and they're going in your pet's food. Looking at my notes here, meal can also include restaurant grease, spoiled meat from the supermarkets. That means the meat is past its sale date. What are the restaurants going to do with all the grease? What are the supermarkets going to do with all the spoiled meat? It's allowed in your pet food, cat and dog. And by the way, meal is only used in dry food, dry cat food and dry dog food. It's not used in canned food. Now, if the label says meat and bone meal, but it doesn't specify what type of animal it came from. Meat meal, just bone meal, can come from, get this, roadkill. Yes, roadkill. Roadkill, what's that? Raccoons, squirrels, skunks, birds, cats, dogs. You heard me right, cats and dogs. It can also include euthanized cats and dogs from animal shelters or animal control facilities. Now, there was a video interview in 1998 with the then president of AAFCO, and he says, quote, I'll include the link to this video below my video as well for you so you can confirm this. He says, quote, it may not be acceptable, but nutritionally it's a complete protein. If it says meat and bone meal, you don't know if that's cat or dog, sheep or horse, or fluffy. Okay, enough said. Now, the only pet food manufacturer that uses absolutely no meal of any type is Halo. And I used Halo for about a year. And my cats have always had raw meat once a day, one meal a day. I don't even know for how long. It's probably been at least 20 years now. And then one meal was always dry cat food. And first I took away the dry cat food that had the corn, the wheat, and the soy in it. And then I was using dry cat food that had barley, rice, or oats instead. And then I switched foods again and went totally grain-free. Well, grain-free, they're replacing the grains with green pea protein and potato protein. Now remember, the cats cannot digest carbohydrates. They don't have the digestive enzyme, the capability to digest those carbohydrates. And they just turn into fat. And they end up taking energy away from your cat and putting a lot of strain and stress on the kidneys. It will keep your cat alive, your cat will survive, but your cat's not going to thrive when your cat is eating things that it can't process, the body can't process. So I stopped using Halo because of the green pea and the potato and because of all of that. And then I went strictly canned food, grain-free canned food, one meal a day of raw meat and one meal a day of canned food. And that really is more convenience for me because I just don't have enough room in the freezer. And they seem to do really well. Every time I improved the quality of the food they were eating, their health improved. Everything improved with my cats. And once I completely dropped out the dry food, it was really a difference from night and day as far as the quality of their coat, how shiny and glossy and soft it is, the reduction in their shedding, and one of the biggest thing I noticed once I dropped the dry food altogether, the two biggest things, is fur balls. Rarely ever a fur ball. I'd say one every 3 to 4 months per cat. And the second big thing I noticed was their poop. The poop is much smaller. When they're not being fed any dry food, it's much smaller, it's harder, as it should be, and compact. And barely any odor at all. Now that's really good news for the household, isn't it? Barely any odor at all. And this won't happen just overnight. It takes some time to get all of the toxins out of the body. The latest cat I have, Edgar, that I rescued and ended up adopting, it took 6 months for his poop to stop smelling. There is more evidence to banish the bag. Banish that bag of dry cat food. If you need help with that, I can help you to transition your cat off of dry food because it can be very, very addicting for many cats, and they can be very stubborn about changing over to a canned and or raw diet. And it can be very frustrating for you if they're not cooperating with you. So if you need help, I am here to help you with that, to help you transition easily. And that's it for today's Friday's Food Facts and Fiction. Thank you. Bye.